This is Grandmaster Truth with a quick video on words of wisdom. I'm going to answer a question I get all the time, which is, what is the best martial art? Well, that question is incomplete. The question is not what is the best martial art, because there's no such thing. It's what is the best martial art for me. You see, each system is designed for something different. Somebody designed it because they believed something to be the most important part of something else. For example, if you look at Kung Fu, Kung Fu was developed to improve the individual. That's what it was developed for. I'm going to be better because I'm going to study nature, study the universe that I live in. And in studying the universe that I live in, I can maximize my personal potential and better understand my place in the universe. So you have people who studied the tiger, who studied plants, lotus style, who studied mantis. You have some people who sought longevity. Tai Chi Chuan literally means supreme ultimate fist, but it was designed to create immortality, believing that by harnessing the internal energy, we can constantly regenerate ourselves, and in doing so, live forever. That's why it's an exercise that's associated with seniors. You look at karate. Karate was actually designed traditionally, te, for warfare. And the way they did that was they took a group of villagers when they knew they were going to be invaded, trained them in the simplest movements in the shortest amount of time, made their body as hard as possible, and only practiced how to deliver one or two blows. If you look at karate and you see people that do all kind of fancy moves in the movie, I know karate, and the person is throwing hook punches, and I know karate, and the person's throwing spinning heel kicks and things like that, that's not karate. Those are martial arts that have moves that have been added since it's become an American form of entertainment and sport. But in traditional karate, you have the shuto, you have the reverse punch, you have the hammer fist, you have a palm heel. That's your hand moves. You have a front kick, a side kick, you have a back kick, roundhouse kick, inside and outside crescent kicks. Those are your kicks. That's it. And you spend every day doing those moves thousands of times a day, and then when you fight, that's all you do, and the intention is maximum result, minimum effort. You're supposed to develop a reverse punch to where when you punch someone, you punch them in specific targets with specific intent to break bones. But here in America, you got all kind of people are soft, just put it that way. Nobody here lives under siege like in other countries. So you go to a little karate place, little Billy trains for 50 minutes a day, 3 days a week. The rest of the time he's sitting on his ass eating chips and ho-hos and bullshit. And then you expect him to be some karate killer because that's what happens in the video games. You want little Billy to be a killer? You train his ass 6 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 years. Then little Billy knows karate. But I paid my money for 18 months to train 50 minutes every other day with the weekends off, and you think you're on the same level as people who fought in warfare? You're delusional. It's not serious to you. You don't possess the mentality, nor the training, nor the experience. So, it's a joke. But that's not the fault of karate. That's the fault of the practitioner. Because there are some people out there, like this dude sitting here talking to you on a video in his backyard right now, that will punch a Michael waterboard, that will punch a striking post, that will punch that cinder block wall 1,000 times a day, every day for the last 20, 30 years. You better pray you never get hit by that person. Because to them, your little soft jelly face is nothing compared to that cinder block wall or that wood. It's just not. But everybody's not out there to try and fight a war. Not everybody's some killer. Some people want to improve their health, their flexibility, right? We see that with a lot of the things nowadays people do with yogas, Pilates, blended, aerobic kickboxing, things of that nature. So the question is not what is the best martial art. The question is what is the best one for me. How can a Taekwondo practitioner say my art is the best martial art in the world, and then a paraplegic come into the room, someone in a wheelchair, an amputee? You're going to still tell them that's the best martial art in the world, and that if they can't do things the way you do things, then they're just a terrible student because they can't conform or they don't possess the physical characteristics to exalt your tradition? All kind of issues. And my system is based on combat and street fighting, because the people who taught me were veterans in the military They learn traditional martial arts, but it's all about precision striking and applying it in the most lethal ways possible. So I do believe in bone breaking, eye gouging, neck snapping, things like that. But then you'll have people who walk up to you who have no experience in that field and say, "Oh, that's impossible. You can't break anybody's bones. You can't just poke somebody's eye out. You know, the eyeball in human body's made out of like concrete and iron. Like it's unbreakable." Right? That's why we have hospitals, because the human body is so, super solid. But that's based on their personal experience. So I always tell people, number one, there's three things you need to know in order to be effective in combat, physical confrontations. But now I've expanded it to where just being effective in life, period, which is one, you need to know yourself. If I teach you how to gouge somebody's eye out, and I mean hit it right, but that's nasty to you. You're a germaphobe. You don't want somebody else's blood and eyeball juice all over your hands, especially during these days and times. Then I can teach it to you. I can drill you on it. You're not going to do it in a fight. That doesn't mean the system is not effective. It means it's not the right system for you, which means I'm not the right master for this student. Now we start talking about the real subject matter. There are only three types of masters. One is a master, traditional master. Traditional master means they have studied a tradition, and their job is to keep that tradition alive. The philosophies, the movements, the drills, the exercises. I'm keeping this tradition alive. You come into this school, I'm going to teach you my traditions, my culture, my language, my movements, how I walk, how I talk. You will learn to be Okinawan, Japanese, Chinese. You'll learn that. And there's an appeal of that exotic nature to a lot of people. Matter of fact, Master Gaichin Funakoshi, who wrote the book Kyohan Karate Do, he addresses that in the first chapter, talking about how he changed the character for karate from kara, which meant Chinese te, hand, to kara, which meant empty te, hand, by changing the kara character from the Chinese character to a Japanese kanji character that meant empty. So he changed that somewhere between the end of World War I and 1920. He changed it. He put it in the first chapter of his book, and he explained to people why this is now a Japanese style of karate. He said because traditionally in Japan, it was it was a social status to say, I have something from overseas. I have something, a Chinese vase. I have China ware, like the dinner plates. I have something from China. Well, to say I studied a Chinese system of fighting was also considered exotic. And there was something to be said for being able to say, I simply have done it, or I know how to do it. He said we need to stop that mentality and recognize that it's been in our country so long that it is now ours and we have our own version of it. And the first thing we need to do is take out the foreign word for what we do. So that's explained in the first chapter. So that's a traditional master. No problem. The second type is a master teacher. So when you talk to me, I'm someone that is a master teacher. Not out of arrogance, but master teacher simply means I don't just teach the systems I've studied and mastered, because you can master a system in 10 years. I teach the student. If you come to me and you're like me, one of these angry young men who have been on the Buddhist society for a while, you're 19, 20, 15, 17 years old, and you're ready to kill everybody, you're going to become a very dangerous thing before you become a wise thing. And that's the kind of student I favor because that's where I come from. That's where most of my top students come from. If you're somebody who in their adult life or young adult life had a near-death experience, again, and it's related to violence, that's who all my black belts are. But if you're someone that comes and says, I'm just trying to lose 5 pounds. I just want to be physically active. I'm curious. I like to try it just for a little while. You'll come, you'll do it, you'll quit. Because I'm not the right master for you. It's not an insult to me, and it doesn't mean that you're some punk. It just means this is not what you need in your life. And the whole purpose of studying is to make you stronger. Strength is not just the ability to beat people up. Strength is the ability to move forward in your life and achieve your goals. If your goal is to become a doctor, being stronger means studying medicine, chemistry, and biology, not punching on a heavy bag and doing 2,000 push-ups. So, again, back to that first rule. Right? To thine own self be true. Know yourself. Who are you? By knowing who you are as a student, you can always seek the proper master. Number 2, when you say know yourself, then you also have to know your opponent. See, when you talk about fighting, every time you get up out the bed, I'm fighting right now. If I get up out of the bed and I'm sitting up here for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, deciding whether or not I'm going to go work out, deciding whether or not I'm going to run, deciding whether or not I'm going to train, or even if I'm going to just get out the bed, maybe I want to lay here 2 or 3 more hours. That's a battle with myself. But my opponent is myself in this case also. If you go to work and you got that jerk that pisses you off every day, wastes your time so it's harder for you to do your job, that's your opponent. I'm trying to get a promotion, and every time I look up, you're in my office trying to talk while I'm trying to do work. That's an opponent. You got to figure out how to beat that person, and punching them in the face is not going to work. So you have to know your opponent. You have to know the weapons of warfare. Another mark of being a good master is the ability to choose the right weapon for the environment. You might have to file a grievance. Sometimes a weapon is a lawsuit. It's not always let me go stab them. I had to learn that. That's something, wisdom comes with age and experience, which brings me to my third type of master, which are the master con men. Tons of those out there, especially in America. Because in America, we do not fight every day. It's not a way of life for us. We're not under civil siege. We're not in a constant state of warfare like some of these other countries. People are constantly seeking for the fantasy version of fighting. They don't know what a real fight is. The closest thing we have is if you watch UFC or boxing, which is a sport. And so we say, oh, that's real fighting. Why? Because you've never seen real fighting. You've never seen somebody that from 3 years old to 30 years old fought every single day, trained to fight every single day. And then 3 people, 4 people, even 5 people who are not trained decide to jump on this person who is angry with mental problems and highly, highly trained, and watch that person rip them apart without getting tired. Something you will never see in a sport. You've never seen it except in the movies. So you believe that's the only place it exists. So then you start believing people that go, traditional martial arts don't work. These are con men. See, con men are people that have no experience, no training, and have not studied. You walk into a place of business, and they want your credit card information, and they want your money, and they want you to sign up for packages and collect your cash, because that's their priority. That's what they want, is money. And you say, well, what do you teach? Oh, well, we teach real fighting here. Real fighting, not traditional martial arts, because that stuff doesn't work. First thing you should ask them is, well, what traditional martial arts have you studied? You can't say something doesn't work unless you studied it, right? Well, it doesn't work. That's why I don't study it. Oh, so something you've never, what books have you read? Haven't read any books. Well, what dojo did you train at? You didn't train in any dojo. You made some stuff up. And then start charging people money to find out what you invented. And then the only place where your stuff can be applied is in your particular environment, right? You have to come to my mat in my ring or my octagon or my whatever, and you have to fight by my rules. And then if you restrict yourself to my rules, to my environment, and to my opponents, then you might win. Aren't those red flags? So my thing is, know who your teacher is. Decide for yourself, is this the right person for me? If you want to be a sportsman, find a person that's a coach. If you want to be a traditionalist, find someone who has mastered that tradition. If you're looking for something for combat, I'm just sorry, in America, those are far and few in between, and they're not running gigantic commercial dojos. A giant commercial dojo is a place where money is priority. Because to pay rent where we are, people are paying tens of thousands of dollars a month. If I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars a month, my priority is not making sure that you're a killer. Not only that, they can't. Even if the person has genuine fighting skills, they can't teach it to you. Why? Because now you got liability. We live in a civilized society. If I take my time and I teach someone how to do some really nasty stuff to somebody, then they actually go out there and do it, that liability falls back on me. Well, where did you learn that? Well, who told you that in the fight this is what you're supposed to do? Now, all of a sudden, there's a class action lawsuit against a dojo that creates super killers and puts them on the street. So, we live in a different society. This is not 1500 Japan. So, although there are certain traditions and knowledge that should be passed down, I don't believe knowledge should be forgotten, whether it's good or bad versions of that knowledge. I personally find it normalizing is the best word I can use. for me to be able to come back here, throw around some iron. You know, this is not Bally's. This is not Gold's Gym. I got my heavy bag. I got my weights. I got me. I got my cinder block wall. You know, over there, I got my striking post, my micro water boards. I got all kind of stuff back here is designed for me to come back here and do what I do. And then go out there and be that civilized person so I don't get sued. You know, be that civilized person. I had to learn the hard way. You don't want to be sued. You don't want to be arrested. You don't want to leave your family out there like that. So you got to make wise decisions. So the wisdom in what I'm teaching today is simply this. There are 3 types of masters out there. There's the master con man. Now, they actually have a place. And I'm going to tell you what that place is. If you know that you are not the type of person that's ever going to get into a fight, you know you are not a fighter. Period. End of discussion. You're not. Then you might well go to one of these dojos and say, you know what? I like the fact that this is just a good workout program where they say some inspiring words. I like the fact that, you know what, I get to roll around on the ground with some people and try and do this and try and do that, and they're really easy on me, and that makes me feel good because I'm active. It's not a problem. But if that's who you are, know who you are. Don't walk up to somebody who likes to hurt people and say, because I go to this relaxed, non-violent, civil lawsuit aware environment, I'm now going to jump out there with this junkyard dog and think I'm going to whoop him. Or go tell somebody, you know, I've been training in martial arts for 20 years and I'm the toughest some bitch out there. And wait, what? See, when you say stuff like that, you attract a different kind of personality to you. And if you don't have the personality that you're attracting to you, something bad might happen. So I just try to give people words of wisdom and tell them, think about what you're saying before you say it, because words have power, 1, and 2, what you say tells people about you. What you say tells people about you. It doesn't say anything about who you're talking about. You get out there, well, you're a B and you're this. That just says you're a person that is very profane. It doesn't say that person is actually those things. If you go out there, and you better not snitch on me, that does not say that the person is a person that likes to call the police. That says you're a criminal. You do criminal things, and now you want to threaten the world because you know what you do is wrong and you're afraid of getting caught. So words have power. So I always tell people, think before they speak, because the words you put out there dictate what energy and what type of person is going to be attracted to you. So if I'm a master traditionalist, say that. If I'm a master of combat, be prepared for the things that come your way. And if you're a master con man, just be honest in your representation or start working toward that honesty and representation. Be able to say, you know what, here we have a good time. Here you get that exercise and that stretching. Here you're going to lose some weight. You know what, we're not a combat place. I've seen dojos do very well saying, hey, or even gyms that say, you know what, we teach executive kickboxing. That was a thing for a long time where people went in there and said, I am a corporate executive. I run my own business. I make $100,000 a year. I don't plan to fight anybody in the streets, but I sure like going into that gym. They play that music. I hit that heavy bag. I put the little 5-pound water weights in my hand. I do my little routine. I get some exercise. I feel good. I'm stretched out and I walk out, but I don't plan on fighting anybody. I have security for that. There's nothing wrong with that. My problem is when people start misrepresenting themselves. Don't say, I'm that guy that'll destroy everybody, and you've never been in a real fight. Don't say, I will tear you up as long as it's in a ring, because I do combat. Combat don't happen in a ring. Combat starts with weapons and works its way into empty hands if you survive the weapons. So if you have not had to face the weapons, if you haven't had to face the multiple attackers, if you haven't had to face the bare knuckle on skin contact, if you have not had to hit your head on cinder blocks and concrete and curbs and streets and get back up while the next 5 come with weapons, you need to stop misrepresenting yourself, because you're not ready. You never will be ready, because that's not your home, that's not your environment, that's not where you grew up. And all of the videos and all of the YouTube in the world will not help you. That's my words of wisdom for the morning. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully that student that's looking for the right teacher, or even that student that currently is just not getting it at their school or getting that value from their school, or even that person that's internet surfing and just going, what do I need to do to make me feel good? Hopefully this helps you make that decision. If not, find the right master. somebody will put it into words for you that it makes sense, and that will be the right person for you to listen to. During this time, find a master, have a good time training, feel good about yourself, empower yourself, get better every day.